Characteristics of clinical depression. Unipolar depression, bipolar depression, and sadness are all related to emotional states, but they have different characteristics and causes. Unipolar depression, also known as major depressive disorder, is a mood disorder characterized by a persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest or pleasure in daily activities. It can be accompanied by changes in appetite, sleep patterns, energy levels, and concentration. Unipolar depression is often caused by a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. Bipolar depression is a mood disorder that involves alternating periods of depression and mania, which is characterized by elevated mood, hyperactivity, and increased energy levels. Bipolar depression can be challenging to diagnose because it can be mistaken for unipolar depression, and the symptoms can vary greatly between individuals. Sadness, on the other hand, is a natural human emotion that is typically a response to a specific event, such as the loss of a loved one or a disappointment. Unlike depression, sadness is a temporary state and is not necessarily indicative of a mental health disorder. Sadness may be accompanied by physical symptoms such as crying, lethargy, or a decreased appetite, but these symptoms typically resolve over time. The International Classification of Diseases, the ICD, is a diagnostic tool used by healthcare professionals worldwide to classify and diagnose medical conditions, including mental health disorders. In diagnosing unipolar depression, the ICD criteria typically include the presence of persistent low mood, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, loss of interest or pleasure, decreased energy levels, changes in appetite and sleep patterns, difficulty concentrating, and thoughts of self-harm or suicide. The severity of symptoms and their duration are also considered when diagnosing unipolar depression using the ICD. Mild depressive symptoms may include feeling sad, lacking energy, or having difficulty sleeping, while severe symptoms can include profound sadness, hopelessness, and suicidal ideation. The duration of symptoms is typically assessed to determine whether the person is experiencing an episode of depression or has a more persistent condition, such as major depressive disorder. It is important to note that a diagnosis of depression cannot be made solely based on the presence of certain symptoms. Mental health professionals also consider a person's medical and psychiatric history, as well as the context of their symptoms, before making a diagnosis.